So I have the distinct pleasure tonight to introduce at our devotional fireside Melissa Hobbs, who is a storyteller coming from afar. You know how that even increases our anticipation. Melissa Hobbs is a storyteller and a poet around the San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California, though she grew up in northeastern Ohio. She received training through the Stage Bridge program for adults over 50, earning an EPIC certificate. She has performed stories at the Marsh in Berkeley and the Silk Row with SAC, which is Storytelling Association of California. She has made a circuit of telling stories of women of excellence in the Bahá'í faith among LSAs, local spiritual assemblies, telling the biography of Phoebe Hearst, Patricia Locke, and for school children, she has told the true story of Saskatchewan. No, Sacagawea. Is that it?
Sacagawea.
Oh.
Well, Kevin Locke told me that's the pronunciation. Sacagawea. So.
Okay, thank you for that. She has one book of poetry and one chapbook published and is working on her first novel. And now a chapbook is a small booklet of about 30 pages, a little more than a pamphlet. I thought it was a typo or something, but so we're learning every day. Anyway, how wonderful it is that Melissa has agreed to stay up late. She of course is calling in from Northern California and to share a story about, you could tell from the beginning of our session, is about Martha Root, Lioness at the Threshold. She'll be telling you, if you don't know much about Martha Root, you will know. And this, I don't know, Melissa, if you'll mention that Martha Root's passing is coming up Tuesday, September 28th. And there are many people who will be saying prayers at her gravesite, which is located in Honolulu. So it's very timely that you joined us tonight.
That's so thrilling. Yes, you're right. September. I mean, it's in my story actually, but you know, I didn't put two and two together. I'm so thrilled by, and what kind of a turnout this is. This is wonderful, and I feel really inspired by everybody's prayers, and you know, uplifted to a great height. So I'm thrilled to be here. What I have is a prepared, pre-recorded telling. And then I thought when that is done, we can have a discussion. Now I got it. Okay, so here goes.
This is the story of Martha Root, Lioness of the Threshold. In the early days, she studied about the Baha'i faith, became a Baha'i in 1909, met Abdu'l-Baha when he came to the United States, and then dedicated her life as a journalist to spreading the knowledge of the Baha'i faith abroad through press releases, through lectures, through everyone that she met. In the beginning, how small is the seed, yet in the end it is a mighty tree. Look ye not upon the seed, look ye upon the tree, and its blossoms and its leaves and its fruits. Martha traveled for 24 years. The cities and countries she visited are represented by these different colors. From 1922 until 1931, she traveled outside the U.S. and then returned to the U.S. for only a year before setting out again in 1932 to teach and proclaim the Baha'i faith globally until 1939, when she fell in her tracks and passed on to the greater worlds of God from Hawaii. Martha met Abdu'l-Baha in Pittsburgh. Abdu'l-Baha is the son of Baha'u'llah, who is the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. Abdu'l-Baha is the master to whom the believers turn. He is the center of the covenant of God. Abdu'l-Baha pulled Martha toward him, and she rested her head upon his shoulder, told him of her suspected cancer, and she was loath to seek medical care because years before, after a bicycle accident and hospitalization, she was not able to have children. He advised her to take aluminum sulfate. She took the rest of her life. He gave her a white rose. She cherished white roses the rest of her life. Baha'u'llah said, "The gift of God to this enlightened age is the knowledge of the oneness of all mankind and of the fundamental oneness of religion." Abdu'l-Baha said, "Wherefore, O you beloved of the Lord, bestir yourselves, do all in your power to be as one, to live in peace, each with the others, for ye are all the drops of but one ocean, the foliage of one tree, the pearls from a single shell, the flowers and sweet herbs from the same one garden, and achieving that, strive ye to unite the hearts of those who follow other faiths." Martha longed to fulfill Abdu'l-Baha's wish in this quote. "Oh, that I could travel, even on foot, and in the utmost poverty to these regions, and raising the call of Ya Baha'u'llah in cities, villages, mountains, deserts, oceans, promote the divine teachings. This, alas, I cannot do. How intensely I deplore it. Please, God, ye may achieve it." Abdu'l-Baha granted Martha permission to teach in South America with conditions. Learn every language, earn your way, so as a single woman you won't be destitute and can communicate carefully. Beginning her plan to bringing the light of unity every day, there Martha sent to newspapers press releases and promised articles they could publish. She carried dozens of books and pamphlets in Spanish and Portuguese. On board, the ship pitched and rolled as Martha lectured, holding on to a pillar as she countered disputes point by point, letting nothing interfere with sharing the gem of love. Abdu'l-Baha's words echoed in her ear, "Thou mayest forget rest and composure," for she shared the room with two monkeys, and it was next to a bar. Abdu'l-Baha requested Martha to visit Bahia in Brazil, but there was yellow fever and civil war, and when she negotiated transportation, it was during a raging thunderstorm. But in the city, she placed books in libraries, shared the faith at meals, and left the city of 280,000 residents with contacts in order to follow up. In each South American city, she sent a report of her findings to Abdu'l-Baha. Martha turned broken bricks into stepping stones. Abdu'l-Baha requested she visit the West Coast, but it would have to be in winter over the Andes, where she heard stories of frozen faces, fingers, and toes, but secured the passage and made friends with a woman who spoke French, Spanish, and Italian. We were infinitesimal ants in an endless and boundless forest on the edge of jagged peaks, chasms of ice, and mountain torrents. On muleback, one could not even see 1 inch between their hooves and the cliff. I wore 3 suits of underwear, 2 sweaters, 2 coats, and a steamer rug, and nearly froze. But I gave booklets to everyone as we crossed the 10,000-foot pass. Back home, Martha wrote, 1,000 Baha'i booklets have been mailed to South America. I wrote 400 letters and sent 1,000 addresses to trusted Baha'is who would write to them, while I worked as a journalist and took care of my dear father. Marcia Gale wrote about Martha's visit. She arrived in our Belgrade home exhausted and promising us she would rest. Beneath the hat, I saw that indomitable jaw. Yet she planned to give 8 lectures in 6 days. She visited civic leaders, government officials, newspaper offices, delivering her own press releases, and met with people on the street, not young, beautiful, strong, or rich, and frequently in danger. She worked to familiarize folks with the Baha'i faith. She would eat a dinner of a boiled egg, an apple, and a slice of cheese. She traveled steerage, 3rd class, in an ankle-length blue satin dress. Nearly 100 years after Tahereh's life, Martha took the dangerous trek from Tehran to Qazvin to find out more about Tahereh, and she did write a book about her. Oh, Tahereh, you have not passed away, you've only passed on. You are to this day our thrilling living Baha'i teacher. Tahereh is famous for saying, "You can kill me as soon as you like, but you cannot stop the emancipation of women." And Martha also carried the faith to millions yet unborn in 5 continents. When Martha met with women, she conveyed Baha'u'llah's message of the equality of men and women, and that women must be educated, for they are the first educators of the children. Martha also promoted the need for a universal language according to Baha'i principles. And at the time of Martha's travels, Esperanto was very popular, a language to be built upon many other languages that everyone could speak. Martha used Esperanto conventions to share the Baha'i message of the unity of mankind. One person present at a meeting described it this way: "I remember seeing this mousy-looking small gray woman come in and be presented, and I thought, how is it possible that such a woman could be the great Martha Root?" Then she began to talk. She was ablaze and ignited all the Baha'is present. Never to be forgotten experience. She was presented with a huge bunch of roses, and she left with none of them, for we all gathered around her, rushed to touch her and get one of the roses as a souvenir, and I was one of them. Martha demonstrated in her life and travels ways to surmount any obstacle while giving the message of unity to the ailing world. She ministered to dozens of cultures and countries and explained Baha'i principles that ethnicity, class, and boundaries of the human family are not in God's plan. These principles are universal and are in unity with the Baha'is' present-day global efforts to develop communities where spiritual unity is the core foundation of their lives. Martha gave a talk on the Baha'i faith as a ship sailed from Durban, South Africa, up the East Coast to Port Said and her goal of Haifa. "As you see, my friends, we're going up the Red Sea. On one side is the land of Mecca, and on the other side is the land of Moses, and to the north of us is the land of all the prophets, Palestine. You can never know what it means to me to be going to Haifa. I keep the fast and pray to be worthy to go." When Abdul Baha passed in 1922, he turned over responsibility and leadership of the Baha'i faith to his grandson, Shoghi Effendi, who became known as the guardian of the Baha'i faith. While in Haifa, Martha Root gathered spiritual rest for her ailing body. The guardian, Shoghi Effendi, would write letters to Martha over the years. "Your letters have given me strength, joy, and encouragement at a time when I felt depressed, tired, and disheartened. Your correspondence refreshes my weary soul and revives in me the spirit of hope and confidence." Martha's love for and from the guardian would drive her on to greater and greater sacrifices and victories for the cause. Merwin Khosrow of Belgaum, India, never forgot Martha's visit. "I was in my teens at school in Pune, and though it's over 65 years ago, I remember going with my father to pick her up in Bombay. While waiting on the platform, She took out a comb and began arranging my father's disheveled hair. India was under British rule, and we, as Indians, were inferior. The two Indians next to us smiled, but the Anglo-Indian conductor was shocked, as if struck dumb. But with Martha, heart spoke to heart, and there was no need of translation. I felt an aura of spiritual fragrance whenever I saw her. She was a pure soul in a very frail body. Abdu'l-Baha requested Martha share the message of unity of mankind with the highest leaders in every country she visited. Even through bouts of illness, Martha expended Herculean effort to proclaim the Baha'i message to kings, queens, princes and princesses, governors, presidents, mayors, in whatever country she traveled. She made friends with support staff, provided Baha'i materials translated into the local language, and offered thoughtful, treasured gifts. She met with Queen Marie of Romania 8 times, sometimes traveling under arduous circumstances. Queen Marie embraced the Baha'i faith publicly. The summer of 1937 found Martha teaching in Japan and Shanghai. The two countries were simmering with strife. She reached Shanghai in early August. Then, air raids came over the international settlement, whirring, staccato, louder and louder until, on the 14th of August, bombs burst. We were on the 5th floor and were prepared for our building to collapse. I prayed in Persian, Ya Allah el Mostagas, O God the Refuge. Martha could only secure passage to Manila, and she was greeted by one of the worst earthquakes in 100 years in the Philippines. She tried to go to Singapore. They suffered a cholera outbreak, and Hong Kong was taking in most of the refugees. She took passage to Bombay, but delayed it to teach in Manila. Shoghi Effendi's wife, Ruhia Khanum, helped lead the faith after his passing until the formation of the Universal House of Justice. She spoke thus about Martha with affection and honesty. She wore the most unfashionable clothing and cut her hair like a spaniel, but her indomitable determination took her to 5 continents and islands of the Pacific. And after years of working as a journalist, she offered this gift, her highest calling, the priceless gem of Baha'u'llah's wisdom, the light of unity and the light of justice with the whole world. Martha planned to continue to the US from Honolulu, but I screamed with pain in my neck. The doctor the friends called wrote, Miss Root has a history of cancer of 20 years. And on August 10th, the friends helped her celebrate her 67th birthday. Her hostess, Catherine Baldwin, wrote, often I find myself wondering why we in Hawaii have been so blessed as to be given the tremendous privilege of caring for our beloved Martha during her last illness. Martha wrote, I am so near the shores of eternity. I thank each and every one for all that you will do to help me, and thank you for your love. We shall all walk together arm in arm, you and I, in the mystery of God that Baha'is will confer together.
Okay, we're all back.
Well, Melissa, we love the details, the they enriched that story so much. What we knew, we had sort of a skeleton, and now we have such a strong feeling of this John, indomitable spirited lady. Did you have any? Are you just opening up right now for comments?
Okay, yeah, I had to, as we have to edit to make a story that, will fit in a small framework. So there are many details that I left out about her life and her journeys. But the stories about her that I tried to speak in the voices of the people who were quoted and in her voice, to give a flavor of the impressions that she made on people where she went. That was part of my goal here, is to kind of craft the story of, people like you and me who have met her, and what we would have thought and felt.
Mhm.
I wanted to say something. I found it completely refreshing. So many times the programs that are made are, they absolutely are beautiful, but they're impersonal. And I found this one to be very intimate and just a very appreciation of your efforts, and everything that you did was incredible. I found it completely refreshing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for appreciating it.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was very fun. Thank you so much. It was you filled her out, filled her, filled her in, filled her out, made her real, made her very alive. It was nice.
And Abdu'l-Baha discouraged her from traveling, but she was determined that she was going to spread the message of unity, as he said he wished to, but knew he could not, due to his age and his limitations. But she was determined she was going to do that. And it was almost unheard of for a single woman to do the kind of traveling she did. And yet she figured out a way to make it work. She sold newspaper articles as she traveled to earn the money for her travels. She was not a wealthy woman, but she managed to get the support of the powers that be to make her travels work.
Now I understand she had little tiny booklets with a 9 on it, little blue booklets.
Yeah, she had those booklets for a while, and she would prepare in advance by finding someone to translate into the language of the people where she was going, so that they could be, passed out. Even when she was going to Brazil, she ended up going some places only for a couple hours, but when it was bad weather, she would just jump out of the ship into a boat and take her pamphlets and pass them out.
The visual of the map was very striking for me, because it showed the vastness of her travel. And at that time, travel was not easy. And then, of course, her health at the same time. It's just astronomical to me where she went. It's amazing.
It was just so interesting. You showed the various places that she went, far more than I think is available. You clearly did a lot of research the other thing that was striking is that you had some numbers that showed the amount of work she did. I think you said like 1,000 people were contacted. I mean, she aligned people up that they would be supported, continue to learn about the faith if they wished, you know, the correspondence. You stated several things like that, and it really helps to look at what she did in terms of quantity also. It's pretty amazing.
She
That
led
was
an
Yes.
exemplary
excellent.
life for
Nothing
sure.
else.
I was so impressed with the distances that she traveled in that period of time. And as Corbin mentioned, you know, the map really revealed how this brave, tiny woman, and although she expressed fear, you know, in her little jotting down of her, I would say like a diary, she trudged on, you know, she was just amazing. Truly a pioneer for the faith in such a rough time. Travel wasn't easy. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing her story with us in a very intimate level. Yeah, really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
For us, so when she was in Japan, she was very good friends with Agnes Baldwin Alexander. And the picture that you showed had Agnes there as the other woman, right?
Yes.
That young woman. And there are a number of stories about Martha and Agnes. And anyway.
They're both buried on Oahu.
Yes, and then you had you quoted Catherine Baldwin, so that's another name that it's a prominent name in Hawaii, Baldwin, and yeah, so that's a very interesting. I would like to have seen that. You know, right at the end, you had that slide of her passing, and I would like to have had time to read that actually.
Oh, well, let's see. I can go back to my share screen.
There's
It's coming, yeah, it's coming up right now, and
Oh, I can just pull it up if you want to see that one screen, that one
Yeah.
slide.
right at the end, right, that kind of
Yeah,
evaporated.
well, I had another LSA that had a time crunch, so I was trying to make this short. So it might have seemed a little rushed, but that's why. Okay. So this is, yeah, it says, Martha Root, hand of the cause, whom in 1942 Shoghi Effendi called that archetype of Baha'i itinerant teachers and the foremost hand raised by Baha'u'llah since Abdu'l-Baha's passing, and to whom he awarded the title of leading ambassadress of his faith and pride of Baha'i teachers, whether men or women in both the East and the West.
That's it. And someone take a picture of that.
Well, it's available. That is available on the line. I can't remember where I got it, but
another thing to keep in mind is that she did all of this with minimal literature. You know, the amount of Baha'i materials that were available to the Friends in the 1920s and 1930s was really infinitesimal. Hidden Words wasn't published till about 1928. Kitabi-e-Gan, I want to say 1919. Of course, Some Answered Questions, approximately 1908, but that was one of the first books that was available, and there were very, very few. But those blue pamphlets that you mentioned were actually published, by an individual lady, and I'm embarrassed. I'm trying to remember her name. Oh, Isabella Bridington, if I remember correctly. I've got one of them, but anyway, the bottom line is they're really, again, the amount of literature was infinitesimal, yet, it was her heart, her soul, her spirit that did the teaching, supplemented a little bit by a little bit of literature, really.
And then she created those articles. So she created literature that was published in papers. And I was struck by. We of course know that she approached leaders of thought and wherever she was, somehow reached to the highest levels. But I noticed, and I hadn't realized she had met with Queen Marie eight times. So she,
Oh, 8 times. Wow.
I heard that in there, that 8 times. So she came back, and it wasn't just this book that got to Queen Marie, but then she followed up. And then Queen Marie, of course, wrote and was very public about her Baha'i faith. So anyway, that was it. And then, of course, didn't you all just think about the 10,000 trek, the 10,000 foot over the Andes in the winter?
Yeah.
Yes.
On the
And
back
I
of
was
a
wondering
llama
about
or something?
the woman who was accompanying her. You mentioned a woman who spoke several languages. Who was with her?
Yeah, well, Martha tried to learn the languages where she was going, as Abdu'l-Baha requested, but of course, you can only do so much. But this woman she met, spoke Spanish, Italian, and French, perhaps. Anyway, it just helped with the communicating with, the porters and the other people that were leading the group over the mountains.
Do we know who that woman was, or the name? Is there a name?
That was from the main book about Martha Root. And I'm not sure if they named her, but she could be named in there.
No, I think you named her. I think you did name her. No, didn't she?
No, I didn't.
I don't think so.
And she did a lot of, once she got to Santiago, she did a lot of stopping up the West Coast, and went to Mexico, and she went to Havana too before she headed back to the United States.
We had gone to the Czech Republic before we went on pilgrimage, and while we were there, we met up with some people, and they took us to a park, and we found this monument that was from a Esperanto conference that had been in the Czech Republic, and the Baha'is were not named on that monument. It shared like all these different organizations that were a part of it. And Martha Root later asked that the Baha'is would be represented on it. And they said, well, it's already been done. And she said, well, there's space right here for it. And so she, was persistent, and they were able to add the Baha'is onto this monument that's in some park in the Czech Republic. So she spent a good deal of time there.
And of course, the daughter of the founder or creator of Esperanto would become a Baha'i as well.
Lydia, is that Lydia? Somebody, Lydia.
Yeah.
Lydia Zamenhof. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to share what Shoghi Effendi said about the gravesite of Martha Root, and we are so blessed to be here in Hawaii and visit her gravesite. Shoghi Effendi said, the grave of Martha Root is the holiest spot in the Pacific Ocean. The Supreme Concourse is suspended above that grave, waiting to rise to the assistance of any suppliant, And because the friends in Honolulu do not make sufficient use of it, the power is augmenting. That was from Shoghi Effendi.
Wow. So those people who are on this island can join us there. I know one group is going to meet at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning at the gravesite. So join us if you can, 10 o'clock.
So
And
does the word augmenting mean?
It means making something greater by adding to it to increase.
Does the word, yes, it's getting, yes, it's getting greater so that when we do make use of it, look out. That's awesome.
It's so timely.
My internet is lagging, I believe.
Yes, it is. But we got the message. Thank you. Yes, Melissa, that's right. But we knew the timing. I remember I asked you this weekend or next week, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so it was right around that.
How wonderful, how fortunate it happened that way.
Yeah. Anyway. Anybody else want to add to this conversation? I think we're all exceptionally inspired.
Well, I usually do a story like once a year of somebody, you know, like Patricia Locke, and so next year I'll be doing another story about another person, and I'd love to be able to present it to your devotional fireside group.
Absolutely. What do you say, folks? Of course. Yes. We can hardly wait. So just let us know.
Okay. I've got your email. So
Martha Root, I mean, Martha Root's one of the women, like from our faith, that she would be a hero in the greater community if people just knew about her. I mean, the travels that she did in that time, like I said, alone and with cancer. I mean, just to make it that much more dramatic. I mean, it could be a major, her life, you know, their travels could be a major motion picture. You know, I mean, it's just
yeah,
pretty amazing what she did.
It would be.
Is indomitable the proper word? Indomitable?
Indomitable is a wonderful word. Indomitable.
The proper word for her. Yeah.
Well, the lioness is what they.
Yes. Yes.
So if nobody else has a particular comment, we do have a closing prayer, and then we have this opportunity, people to actually say something to you and sign off. So we're all together, and now we're all going to sign off. So thank you. Jill, what we found is another prayer that is recorded in her voice. It's not a perfect recording, but the words are there. And after this final closing prayer by Martha Root, we will sign off.
If people can mute themselves, that would help.
And now, beloved brothers and sisters, in leaving you, I say, Allahu Akbar, always Allahu Akbar. And let us remember those words of Baha'u'llah in the tablet of the branch. Whosoever quickens one soul in this cause is like unto one quickening all the servants, and the Lord shall bring him forth in the day of resurrection into the rich one of oneness. adorned with the nature of himself, the protector, the monk, the generous. Thus will he assist you, O Lord, and mortal praises shall ever be mentioned in this day before God, your Lord, and the Lord of your forefathers. Ya Baha El Afa.
I hear Koki frogs. Some
Who has the cookie frog?
I better mute.
Okay, why don't Pioki, why don't you be the last to say, why don't you be the first to say aloha to all? You sign.
Aloha, everyone. Allahu Abba, and wonderful to see all your beautiful faces. Good night.
Okay. Drake.
Yes, very inspiring. Boy, I've traveled a lot, but nothing like that. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch with you, Melissa. Being a
Karen.
little traveler.
nice to see everybody. And Kyoko, I would love to meet you one day. You're a beautiful woman. All of you are, but and thank you so much for sharing this. That it's nice to have professional storytellers. It was fantastic. So anyway, aloha, love you guys.
Linda and Dion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was wonderful story. Just amazed by some of the details that we saw in there, especially that map. It was really, really nice. Thank you.
Maureen. Maureen, are you there? Oh, maybe not. Roman.
Well, very inspiring, amazing. So looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
Yes, we already are. And I think Jamuna is next on my list, but I think she's already left us. Kyoko. Robin.
I want to thank you so much, Melissa. You really touched my heart. The amount of work that you did is incredible. The amount of work that Martha did, I can't fathom. Thank you.
Liz. Liz Hahn. David Mackey. Corbin.
Melissa, thank you so much for the amount of work that you put into that presentation. The technical aspects of it are near and dear to my heart. And I think you did a very good job. Thank you very much.
Corbin, I wanted to thank you too for your melodious devotion. It was really special. Added such a lot illumination to this meeting. Heidi.
Oh my gosh, Melissa, that was so wonderful. I mean, to have the life of Martha Root brought to the forefront of our minds like that is with, various details that maybe we didn't hear before is just really special. And I think to have heard her recite the prayers, I've never heard her voice before, so I feel even closer to her. I go to Martha Root's often. I will absolutely remember you at Martha Root's gravesite. Melissa, In fact, I was there yesterday and it was so beautiful because somebody just embellished the, you know, the where the names are carved out, you know, the writings are carved out. They put the gold in there. It's just gorgeous. I'm sure that person just was thinking of her ascension coming up. So I'll be thinking of all my friends here next time I go to Martha's, because I generally go there nearly once a week. Thank you again, Melissa. I hope you can visit someday, or maybe you have. No. Well,
Okay, that's right. That is an open and clear invitation.
I have not visited, but I really long to go there.
Wonderful. Then you shall do that.
Yeah, next year's storytelling in person. Okay. Elaine. Maybe. Inshallah. Elaine.
Yeah, Melissa, thank you so much for making Martha Root's story come alive this evening. Your voice was such a beautiful artistic expression of all the different people whose lives she touched. We can't even fathom how many there were, you know, but it was a lovely evening with you, and we do hope that you do come to Hawaii. Thank you for the evening. Laupa.
Frank.
Thank you, Melissa, for such a lovely presentation. And, you know, we're very moved. So thank you very much. Aloha.
Yeah, good thing to say that. Win.
Thank you, Melissa. Extremely extraordinary presentation. Lots of work. Really appreciate it. And we absolutely want to see your next one. And you being here be wonderful too. Allow Papa.
Terry Chan, are you there? Is that Terry?
Yes, I'm here. Melissa, thanks so much. You know, I in my mind's eye, I can see Martha Root sitting there in her blue dress, eating her boiled egg. And as Rahia Khanum said, with her hair cut like a spaniel. I mean, to say, it really it really brought her human. You know, to me, she's like a saint, but she was human tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christy.
I so appreciated the broad range of stories from the various different places. And, Martha Root is, we here in Hawaii feel that Martha Root is ours because, she is in the bosom of Oahu. And there were so many little things that we got to know more about, her life and her service to the faith. And the map was just, I'm so thankful that you put that together to have that visual of really where she traveled. And my great aunt was a Esperantist, and she had gone to a talk of Abdu'l Bahá's. And so I always wondered if she ever met Martha Root, because that community was so small of Esperantists. And my great aunt was a very staunch Esperantist, and I often wonder, and I'm sure that if they didn't meet in this world, they definitely are conversing in the next. So, but I thank you again, and I really hope you get to visit Martha Root's grave in the future. Aloha pa.
Aloha pa. Georgia. Doug, and Parvane.
Don't think they're here.
Okay. So if I haven't called on you, or I did call on you and you didn't speak yet, except my dear Jolinda, because Jolinda goes last usually. So Jolinda, otherwise speak up after Jolinda.
I knew about the trip on the donkey, but this time I felt freezing as you were saying that, and afraid of falling on that donkey. And also I have this image now of her sharing a room with monkeys that I had no idea about. So as Christy mentioned, I love the broad range that you presented tonight. Thank you so much. And loved hearing everyone's input.
Yes, what a rich, additions afterwards. All right, and I especially love that Christy telling us about the check, and she's very persistent. Well, there's room. So she did follow up, right? There's room on that plaque for our name. Let's get it there. And of course, now it is there. And wouldn't we love to go to a park and find a plaque and a statue with the Bahá'í name on it? Okay. Is that it? Well, thank you. Melissa, you can tell by the heartfelt response of everybody here that it has indeed made an impact. It's a standard of storytelling that we will aspire to, especially in its rich, intimate details. And as Corbin noted, the technological things that you made those slides come to life, as well as Martha's life. So I hope that each one of you take with you tonight also that motivation to be more like Martha Root, right? That's one of the aims.
That is our goal, yes. And being inspired by Abdu'l Bahá's exemplary guidance to reach out of our comfort zones. As I did in creating this story, I learned a lot about PowerPoint through this preparation. And I wanted to thank you all for appreciating this, because without an audience, the teller is speaking to empty air. So you all are part of this collaboration of making a story come alive. And so I hope to see all of you again, either in person or through this means of collaboration here.
Thank you. So
or we can frolic together in the Abha kingdom.
Well, we don't want to wait.
I know, but there's something to look forward to, because many of us nowadays cannot frolic. So I'm looking forward to being able to frolic again. Something I wanted to say, when the people, I don't have a car, so I'm not able to go to the gravesite of Martha Root. Okay, so now that people know that we're not utilizing that force enough. Okay, so what have I been telling everybody over and over again? Call on the Supreme Concourse. Call on the Supreme Concourse. Do it from Martha Root's grave.
Okay, I hear that, Robin. And
yes, and every single one of them.
And we are going to do that. And
yes, and no one left out. Every single one of them.
And we will say prayers for you too, Melissa, because she's kind of fitting us in between doctor's appointments and things as well.
Yeah,
so
I have a big surgery coming up on the 1st of October, so say a healing prayer for me.
We will. We will. Okay, and I'm to ask you to transfer the host back to Jolinda. You are the host right now. Yeah, Melissa.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Do I go under participants? What
You
do
go
I?
into participants, I guess, and then you transfer the host.
Oh,
Technical detail, but we'll have a problem. If
how do?
But
Can you tell me?
you can also go to click on my name,
Your name is Jolene?
Jolinda,
Jolinda.
and then there's those three little dots.
Jolinda Susilo? Susilo?
Yes.
Okay.
Melissa, could I ask a request of you? That wonderful map showing Martha Root's route. Would you be able to share that with us and maybe send it to Molly, and Molly can get it to us? It would be such an inspiration to look at this map, remember the story that you shared with us so intimately of Martha Root, and inspire us when we feel like we sometimes can feel so defeated, that this courageous tiny woman in an era when travel was so difficult and perilous, we can look at this map and be encouraged and inspired.
I can share it with you. It's not absolutely accurate. I want to make my apology that it I just did it by hand, and if any motions, little motions will move the stars slightly away from the cities where they're supposed to be. But perhaps it is enough to give you an idea of which years she went to which places, and the extensiveness of her traveling. Although it's not complete, it gives you a feeling for it.
It's just a snapshot that was inspire us.
And Jolene, did I give you the hosting back?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right, dear friends. Aloha.
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 It's of course we're here every Friday night. I can't remember what's happening next. I think that next week it is Renee Deperink who is going to speak on the Tablet of the Hague, which is this peace tablet that Abdul Baha sent. So she has that's the story that is going to be told about that tablet and about Abdul Baha's words for peace sent to the Hague. All right. Aloha. Aloha.
Aloha, everyone. God
And
bless.
Molly, I sent you a picture of the monument.
Oh, the Czech monument.
The Czech monument. I texted it to you.
Oh, can you put that up on the screen, Christy?
No.
Can we see the writing on the names? Is it that detailed or not?
No. I'm looking at it now on my phone. She sent it on my phone. There it is. But you can see there's a lot of writing. Oh yes, let's see.
Glasses makes a difference.
Glasses, and then you go like this, right?
Yeah.
Go like this.
What my 2-year-old granddaughter taught me how to make it bigger.
Make it bigger.
There it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yay!
I will I can't
So the Baha'i thing that she got written in there is like the 6th up from the bottom. So it got squeezed in.
Oh.
So it says like Baha'i.
Baha. Yeah, that was
Baha Movado.
Yeah.
Haifa Palestinio.
That's awesome.
Baha'is Movado, move.
Right. So anyway, you can't this is not working.
That's okay.
No.
It's okay.
Thank you so much. I think what I can do in this case is that for the map and for that, I can, we know who's on tonight, and then, and Corbin is able to get in contact with a number of people because he's there on his list. So we can do that. We can get it out. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Aloha pa. Aloha pa.
Aloha, aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Sweet dreams.